And I've always had this feeling of this string that's been attached to Louisiana and the string that's been attached somewhere. So when I arrived here, it was like, oh, that's the other end of the string. Like, that's where we are. Except now, when I'm in Louisiana, I know where that string goes. So I feel it tugging in France when I'm home in Louisiana, but I'm also home in France and I feel
tugging back in
so
France.
When I talk about home, you know, I have two places that are really home to me.
Are you tired of the same old weekend routine? Looking for something new and exciting? Then get ready to rev your engines at Throttle and Swing, the ultimate entertainment destination at NOLA Motorsports Park. We're talking about an 80 configuration go-kart track that'll have you feeling like a pro racer. And that's just the beginning. There's also a brand new 18-hole mini golf course and a state-of-the-art arcade. When it's time to refuel, enjoy delicious craft pizza, a full kitchen, and a bar serving up unique cocktails and gourmet coffee. You can also kick back in the outdoor lawn area, complete with a playground, live music stage, a massive screen for watch parties, and free Wi-Fi. Perfect for work or play. Planning a party? Throttle and Swing has you covered for gatherings of any size. So what are you waiting for? Head over to NOLA Motorsports Park on the West Bank and experience the unmatched excitement of Throttle and Swing. Throttle and Swing at NOLA Motorsports Park. Get your adrenaline pumping.
Chocolate lovers rejoice. Scandalous Chocolates has arrived in New York with 4 sensational new varieties.
That's right. They aren't just chocolates. They're an experience. Premium edibles crafted with the finest ingredients, blending sweet and savory sophistication.
We're talking 20 milligrams premium chocolate lips, sleekly packaged, perfect for on-the-go indulgence. Nuts, fruits, caramel, it's an affair you can take anywhere.
At just $10, it's an affordable luxury. Fair trade, single origin, gluten-free, and vegan. Find Scandalous Chocolates at quality dispensaries like Travel Agency in Gotham.
Scandalous Chocolates. When you're in New York, awaken your senses and delight your palate.
The affair you could take anywhere. Scandalous. Are you looking for a unique New Orleans experience?
Check out New Orleans artist Frenchie at FrenchieLive.com.
Featuring original artworks, prints, and more. See it all at www.frenchielive.com.
Live event bookings are available. The gallery is open by appointment only.
And for private showings or parties, email info@frenchielive.com.
Experience the art. Experience the artist. Frenchie Gallery. www.frenchielive.com.
Hey Jay, you hungry? Like really hungry?
Yeah, I'm in the mood for oysters. Hey, let's check out Trenas.
Oysters? I love oysters.
Trenas features a wide variety of local oysters. Char, grilled, baked, and on the half shell, even the famous oyster log.
Oyster log? I heard about that. You get 6 each of their signature baked oysters, plus 6 fried, all on a cypress slab?
42 oysters. We are going to love it. Trenas is located in the Hotel Intercontinental, 444 St. Charles Avenue, right on the parade route.
Sweet. When can we go?
7 days a week for lunch and dinner, plus a mimosa brunch on weekends, and happy hour daily from 3 to 6.
Happy hour? Nah, you're talking my language.
Great drinks, great wine list. An award-winning chef, Matthew Farmer, leads a team serving the best seafood in New Orleans. Trenas.
Trenas, got it. Let's go.
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all. Talking, never know who you're gonna meet. Dancing, the groove feels so good to me. Singing, wow, yes indeed, y'all. Soulful living is all we know how to do. Place on earth. I'm talking about New Orleans, the greatest place
boys and girls and kids of all ages. Welcome to the second installment of Only Good Vibes News Network in France. Viva la France. We have a very special guest today. And the person that we normally give a shout out to, he was in the first installment, Checky. So we don't have to give a shout out to him. We'll just give a shout out to Jack and Sherry, who's in Italy. And Charlie, I hope your hip's getting better, who's in Costa Rica. Hip surgery, I heard they had good things about it. Really did. Have a lot of good things. So what we do to start the show off is just to put the vibe right. We burn Palo Santos and sage, and then we pull Zen cards. And the Zen cards is just cards that can go along with you throughout your day. Sometimes they work, sometimes they just are just good thoughts, but sometimes they hit. And sometimes in the interview, they show themselves. So it's just a little thing that we always do. The first card we had today, we already pulled, is the journey. It has a little inscription on the back and a word on the front. It's just really cool vibe that we start to show off with. And it says, understand that your journey is as important as the destination. Enjoy every moment and live life fully. This is Zen. We all know it's a journey in life, right? And that's it. And the journey is, sometimes it takes different turns. It's like a real journey. If you go on a road trip, if you go to, like, first time I was coming to Paris, we had a layover in Atlanta. That journey was very sad because I do not like Atlanta because they are enemies of ours. I like the city, but the fans, the football team, let's just say we're like good friends, but, you know, sometimes you got to put your friend in a headlock.
The French have a word for that. It's called chamailler.
So I'm gonna have to learn that.
Yeah, it's to kind of tease and just like really very close cousins in the same centers of love.
Yes,
because we both love our teams.
Yeah, so
very
much.
Passionately.
Yes.
And that there's that cousinly hostility between the two where you can't stand to be in the same room, but you just can't stay away from each other because it's part of it. It's part of the journey. It's part of the experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that word in French. De chamailler someone, to kind of tease them, to kind of give them a hard time.
Yeah. Well, that's what it, see that she made it feel so lovely with Atlanta.
We're here for the good vibes.
Yes, we are.
We're here for the good vibes.
We are. Thank you. See. So without any further ado, I'm going to do my best not to butcher her last name, but she's a very, very, very close friend of mine and a friend that the universe, like most people, introduced to your life. And I feel that we're going to be longtime friends because we have really hit it off. We've made a lot of things happen. We've done a lot of things together, and we still have more stuff to do. Miss Emelie
Close. So the way it is, it's if you say
Vidrine,
the dream.
Vidrine. Vidrine, that's
there you go.
Because I just reminded me of Liz told me how she said your name completely different when I read it and butchered. She goes, the Vidrines?
No, the Vidrines. So you just think of the dream.
Oh, Vidrine.
There you go. See, if most actually, funnily enough, there's a couple of like layers to this story, but when we would call out for like pizza or something, and they would always write the dream on it, dream, and because no one understands on the phone. But my dad apparently, I mean, I'm stealing his story, and I probably made this up because I usually do make up most of my memories. Your
story, right?
But apparently, my dad was he was a touring roadie musician for some Cajun bands in like, you know, the early 80s, and so they there's this band called Beausoleil who really paved a lot of way for a lot of us musicians who wanted to go to France and wanted to travel and do this music. And so they played at the Smithsonian. My dad was there, but he's this roadie, and so he had nothing to do during the concert. So the ladies lined up to dance with John the Dream. So
not even singing, but Dream.
Yeah, but I love our last name. It in very old French it means a path driven through the forest by livestock. So livestock who have chosen not to take the beaten path that's been assigned to them, but that they've chosen their own. And, they always talk about, sheep follow, cows, they follow, but they have an instinct to it.
Yes.
But that path is La Vidrine, de la Vidrine. So my family would have been the noble family that lived near the passage. Because that's where all of our names come from.
Right.
So, when we're looking, a lot of people love to look at this lineage and like to know their story. My first impression is like, do you know what your last name means? So for me, I love that about our family, because we are very off the beaten path in our ways. And we really do sometimes the journey is long, but, we've set our own path and others follow after. Yes. So I think
that's very clever. It makes me want to think about, what does Mitchell mean? I'm going to have to go and do some homework.
That's a good question.
And the coolest part about that is, I know we didn't get into it yet, but it was very modest there to say. I mean, you have a really rich, and the show is about Louisiana and all the positive things happening there, but you are a major positive thing in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And that is a good thing. Like Shecky, a Louisianian that has come abroad and is excelling and thriving, here and staying here. But so the second card is, and we're going to get into the interview in a second. Second card is ego. Ego is those who say they know don't know. Those who say they don't know also don't know. Therefore, be quiet and let your actions speak for you. They speak much louder than your words anyway. Man, that card, I never thought that's what ego meant. I read all these cards about numerous amounts of times. And they're not a definition. It's just a thought. But I always thought, I always would go like, my actions speak louder than my words. And it was just like, wow. And again, just like we just talked about the journey, it's like a philosophical. It's not anything that's locked in. It's not anything that is the law. But it just helps you feel like, it's an interesting thing. Maybe a different perspective that you hadn't had. Because there was definitely a different perspective than where I had ego. If you go look up the definition of ego, it's not going to say that. Yeah. But that's it.
Yeah.
So, Emelie, welcome to Only Good Vibes News Network, the Viva la France edition, which I feel like if anybody in France that I was going to interview would be you. Because you're so interesting, and intricately the way we met was just special and magical. And it was the reasons why I'm here again with less than 3 weeks of coming here, and then I'm back again. So, Amy, why don't you just tell the folks who you are and what you, where are you from in Louisiana?
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing to me is actually where I am from. I think it's definitory of me. A lot of people find their personalities beyond where they're from, but mine is my definition. I'm very roots. I grew up with Francophone culture in Louisiana, in the city of Lafayette, but my father is from Evangeline Parish in the Mamou area, and my mother is from St. Louis, Missouri. And they are these incredible musicians and cultural torchbearers. So my mom, the only word really, which it sounds maybe a little, I don't know, pretentious, but really to talk about their mission, they're conservationists. So, but they're also active in this culture. So my brother and I grew up speaking French in school systems. So we are both issus, as the French would say. We're a product of the Lafayette Parish school, public school system, where we had this French program that I was in for 11 years of my schooling, from kindergarten all the way to my sophomore year in high school, and even some pre-K. But then my mom brought me around all of these anciens, these older speakers, I was very fortunate to hear a lot of Louisiana French because my teachers were not all Louisiana French teachers. They were from France, they were from Canada, from what was called Zaire at the time, from the Ivory Coast, from different parts of Belgium. So I knew we always joked that I had about 56 ways to say potato chip. But my group of classmates, we all had our own language too. We had this weird French that we invented amongst ourselves. So we had like our own sayings and our own accents. So where I'm from is so definitory for me because French is my identity. But I always say, above all, I'm Louisianian. Then I'm an American because I'm very proud to be an American, but also I'm French. So I've been living in France for 16 years now. And most of my whole adult life, really.
I'll have to ask that question. Then.
Yeah, I moved here when I was 21. 20, yeah, it was just shy of my 22nd birthday. And I graduated from UL Lafayette, and then I just I moved. I knew that if I got into my master's degree that I would never want to leave because I was very happy where I was.
What did you study?
English and French.
Oh, okay.
So English literature. I was very inspired by the minute details. I think might have driven some of my teachers mad, but all of my papers were on about, if I took a poetry class, I'd find just one line and I would just like dig through why is he talking about this process of going up a ladder in this one line? And that's like, I was very into the minute details. So when I came to France, I already spoke French, but it was a totally different French. Even though I had taken like standard French classes, and even in Louisiana, I wasn't considered a Louisiana French speaker because I had learned standard French. When I moved here, I was really not considered a standard French person. So I've always been kind of in this, when we're in Louisiana, sometimes we feel a little like an island. And in Cajun and Creole culture in the French community, I'm a Creole. And there's a lot of stuff happening with the Cajuns, and it's really cool, but I'm not a Cajun, like, genealogically speaking. And so when I moved here, it's like, well, I didn't feel like I was that much of an American. I felt very French, but the French really wanted to remind me that I was not. So when I moved here, I had to relearn French. So I studied phonetics and linguistics at a school, the Catholic Institute of Paris. And I started to want to be a French teacher to go back to Louisiana because I only grew up with one Louisiana speaking teacher, and he officiated my wedding. So you'll just see that kind of Mr. Kirby Jean-Paul. He's actually a poet laureate, and he was honored by the Académie Nationale here, who is the ones that decide if a piece of writing is French. So very validating. So I'm very proud of all of these people, and it's an interesting thing because I can't talk about myself without talking about other people, and it always feels like a name drop or living vicariously through other people's successes. I often introduce people like, who's your mom? I'm like, well, my mom, she's Jane Vidrine. She's the president of the Louisiana Music Museum that's starting in Louisiana. Oh, and my dad, he's this incredible accordionist, and then my brother is this incredible photographer. So without really explaining who I am, I usually explain who I come from and the people I surround myself with.
That's a beautiful thing, though. You're like constantly giving out the people who have shaped you. You put like it's a spotlight on them, and it kind of lets people know who you are without even saying who you are.
I try to do that.
It's very humbling.
Yeah. Well, it oftentimes comes out as bragging, but because I'm so passionate.
So here's the thing. I personally, we all look at things through our own eyes, but the way I look at it is, how else would you if your parents are a certain thing, if they've done these things, that's just who you are. And like when you were saying that French and Cajun, and come back here and they say that, but French is your heritage too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like you
100%.
are French, regardless if your dialect may not sound like it,
right.
but it's in your blood.
Yeah.
It's the point. The same way like your father and your mother, it's in their blood. That's who they are. So it's like, it's almost like a sin not to to suffocate that and smother it because you don't want to feel a certain way about it. But that's just who you are.
It is though. It is my identity. And so to come full circle on the name thing. So my family, les de la Vidrine was the name of the family. I came back to France because my entire family on my dad's side, with some exceptions of some Italian and Spanish, all came from France. So for me, when I moved here in 2010, it was a homecoming to me. And I've always had this feeling of this string that's been attached to Louisiana and the string that's been attached somewhere. So when I arrived here, it was like, oh, that's the other end of the string. Like, that's where we are. Except now, when I'm in Louisiana, I know where that string goes. So I feel it tugging in France when I'm home in Louisiana, but I'm also home in France and I feel
tugging back in
So
France.
When I talk about home, I have two places that are really home to me. And so it
makes total sense for a person who, in your position, to have France and Louisiana having a tug of war.
Yeah. So what do I do about it?
Emotions.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a fantastic job.
So
you just did a great job by explaining it. And when you came at 21, when did you go back for the first time? Well, let me back up before I ask you that question. Yeah. Before I ask that question, what besides the heritage made you say, I'm headed to France? Was it just like a vacation, or did you come here and it was like, I'm coming here to do something, and then I'm going to school? It just happened to go to school because you wanted to get sharper on the French rather than your Cajun French.
Well, I mean, the easiest way to say is when you're little, people ask you what you want to be when you grow up. Fireman, doctor, nurse. And my answer was always, I want to be the president of the United States and I want to live in Paris. And people said, well, living in Paris is not a job. And I think that stuck with me because I made it my job to live here. Not only because it was like, when you want to live abroad, it's not Emily in Paris. I mean, I'm Emily in Paris, but it's not Emily in Paris. It's not the Barbie movie that we have. It can be very difficult. Bureaucracy is different. The language is different. The culture is different. The processes are different. Even just setting up a phone can be a challenge. So making my way through all of those challenges and keeping that as like the internal monologue of, this is the work. Like, this is the building. This is the character. Because when I was home, I had this amazing dad who, used to work for Acadian Ambulances. He's the EMT. He's the run into the building to save you. So every little minor inconvenience was a phone call and Papa was at the door. Yeah. But when I moved here, I would call him and he'd be like, I'm really sorry.
Like, that's not that's the answer I was expecting, but I'm sure that answer caused you to, I'm sure he gave you some advice, but that have helped to make you and get you to where you are today. Fortification
was it. And so I learned all of these lessons and I was like, you know what? I see people coming from Louisiana that come and they're struggling with these things. And I have the knowledge and I have the resources. And it's like, oh, you need this? Oh, well, I know where to get that for you. So a lot of this stuff, it's the jet lag. No. But a lot of this stuff translates to, okay, we have this opportunity to showcase Louisiana in another French culture that are interested in it. And while I was playing music and then eventually I started cooking here, because I'm a musician and a cook from passion, I suddenly realized a lot of people coming here needed that information. So I set up a concierge service to start with. So I had Louisiana people coming here, learning French, living. So I would set them up in apartments and I would take them around the city and I would spend weeks with them and teach them French and teach them the way. And so any minor inconvenience, they call me. So I became I became that person. I became my dad. But I mean, you become the people you admire and the people you surround yourself. So I became the blanket that puts out the fires. And so I have expanded that in the last 3 years by working in cultural diplomacy. So inventing this idea of cultural ambassadorship to Louisiana culture, which I've been very proud to have people use that term to explain me. So it's just very cool. Yeah. But it's somebody said, we're going to call you this. And I was like, you know what? I'm fine with that. I like it. But it's what I do. I work in cultural diplomacy. So I bring my culture to the French people. And it's just like a recipe, like when I first moved here, I made gumbo and étouffée like I would at home. But the French, their faces were turned red and it was too rich. It was too much and I'm like, too much, like, am I too much? Like, because I am too much. I mean, I talk too much. I sing too much.
No, you're perfect. But I heard this about the food. Please continue.
Yeah. So I had to adapt. I had to say, okay, the ego. I had to say, okay, maybe what is authentic to me is only useful if it's for myself. If I really want to share this, I need to dial back like my expectations of what I need people to receive. So if my recipe, if I'm like, this is the best étouffée amongst my friends, this is my recipe, I'll never change it. If I really want the French to experience my culture, I need to sell to them. Like in the end, it's not about me, it's about their experience. So do I do an étouffée with crawfish? No, because it's a strange food. A lot of people here don't eat crustaceans either for, whatever reason. And then, so now, and obviously the spice. And they also don't really like they like it more creamy. So I do it with more butter. I do it with more cream. I do it with white fish. I do it with a little less, or I'll serve I'll serve my Cajun spices on the side, whatever brand I feel like it. I adapt so that I'm able to have that conversation. So I need to accept that what I think is authentic and the best, and they have to try. I have to give them that gateway. Every time that they taste it, they're going to add a little bit more. And it's true. They have the spices there. They're going to taste it. And they're like, oh, that's good. Let me try that. Oh, a little bit more.
But they come back and go, could you do it with the way that you do it again?
Yeah. But the more and more I can, my husband, we've known each other for 13 going on 14 years. And the first gumbo I served him, I probably made him sick. And the next gumbo was a little more like a Goldilocks experience. I kind of dialed it down. But now I make gumbo how I want to make gumbo, because I make gumbo for myself. And he's just fine, and he'll go places, and he tolerates spice because little by little, it's like a vaccination.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Next thing you know, it's all baked in the bread.
Totally.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, what gumbo is your favorite gumbo to make?
Oh, my favorite gumbo. Okay, y'all don't come after me. I make a gumbo aux herbes. So yeah, but okay, so it's not the heavy filet, heavy okra one. It's more of like so I'm from the prairie. That's from Mamu. We like our gumbo tick, 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 tick. And, we have one room, no tomatoes. But I love to put very interesting vegetables. Like I like to put aubergines, the different kinds of aubergines, like white and purple. I like to put all the garden vegetables that I have. So I do, actually my favorite in it is turnips and parsnips. Because it soaks up all the roux. It takes all that roux taste in because they're tubercular, but they go, but it gets that roux taste right down to the center. So yeah, the parsnips and the turnips are usually the ones that disappear. So I love to do a vegetable. And then my herb is I always put greens. So I'll put spinach, or I'll put like a kale or a bok choy or something in it. So heavy vegetables. And I love that because, there's a lot of people who don't eat pork, meat, fish. A vegan gumbo, if I don't do like my vegetables in butter, which I do love to do my Trinity in butter. But if I, restrain that and I change my recipe a little bit, I can share it with more people. And I think that's just my theme in the way that I approach bringing Louisiana musicians. Sometimes do I get to bring my favorite bands? No, because they might not be the best choice. It's what I want and what I think is the most authentic thing. But how am I going to reach the maximum people? Who is going to be the best ambassadors for this culture? It's not uniquely up to me to choose that. I'm not the filter. But I always try to search for, I don't really like the word, the lesser known groups that might not be able to be reflected in this. I like to look for communities that need voices. And, and sometimes that can be really hard when you take a smaller name that is amazing, but might not have the coverage that you need to make it a success. So you have to find the balance between the two, bringing groups. So part of my cultural work is to plan events, to do full weekends, full months around Louisiana, either being reached out to by festivals or being reached out to by embassies, cities that want to do something around Louisiana. And then I tell them, okay, so, if you want Louisiana, you can have the music, but you have to have the food. You also have to have the people. You also have to have the dancing. And you need
the culture.
You need the culture. You can't just have one thing. It all goes together. So my job is to sell that, make it happen, raise money, find sponsors, and find all of because my real goal is promoting other people in Louisiana, like make their projects bigger. And that's the coolest thing that I get to do is watch other people succeed. And for me, that's success.
You are a really good vibe. And I would have never thought that you and Leah Chase were the two people making those killer gums. That gumbo was, Leah, they only make, God rest her soul, but they only make that gumbo on Holy Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I always get it. It's so delicious.
I was so honored to be this year, last year, one of the, there's this really cool thing that we have in France called Arte, which is a TV station that half of the programming is made in Germany and half of the programming is made in France, and they switch. And they did this thing about expatriate food, so French food or German food that's being done in the world, somewhere else.
So clever.
But then those same cultures, how when it comes back to France, how that changes. So I was really honored that they chose me to do I was going to do a gumbo, but it was a really warm day, so I did my étouffée, then I've changed. And come to find out, Leah Chase's grandson was the first half that they filmed in Louisiana doing his grandmother's gumbo.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I should have done a gumbo. I did do a roux. I made him a roux, even though we don't put a dark roux in it. But I was like, I have to make a roux. And it was so cool. And I didn't see it until, and I thought, when they do these things, you go in, they'll film you for a whole day.
And then they use like 5 minutes.
30 seconds, 5 minutes, honey. It was a 6-minute segment. I was like, when's it going to stop? Like, it's still going. It's amazing.
Right.
But then the thing that made me so happy was my childhood friend lives in Germany. And so I told them, there's a Louisiana girl in Germany. You should interview her. And so instead of showing my part in Germany, so they cut me out of the German version, but they did her. And so she got her 6 minutes. And she's surrounded by her family and speaking German. It's amazing.
But after sitting here listening to you, that's exactly who you are.
Oh, yeah.
You're that person. The universe, in my opinion, took over that part and incorporated her in. Yeah. And you're excited about it now. But you weren't even thinking about it like that. But now that we're looking at these parallels, how you help people and want to show them, and even in your family, it's about other people, and it's about, that's it. that's a very giving quality, and because so many people want to be like in the light, so many people want to be like me, and I did this.
I won't say I'm not that way too, because I also really love being on stage, and I love being in front of an audience, and I love.
You're a performer.
I'm a performer, and so sometimes, and I think as you're reading that ego card, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm trying to work on in myself. Is I do love the spotlight. I really do. I dominate almost every conversation I'm in. I mean, if we timed how much I'm talking on this, it's going to laugh.
This is the place.
I am a talker. And
it's better for me as an interviewer to shut up. Really, it is.
Well, that's where, I talk a lot and I speak loudly, but it's because I really do love what I'm talking about. And especially when it comes to Louisiana. I'm so passionate about it.
You are, babe. I got to be honest with you. This is so refreshing to hear this. Like, I didn't think that this conversation would go this way, but I'm always allowing myself to just flow with the current. And the fact that all these constant similarities keep coming right back to Louisiana and France could not be better. Yeah. So, the more that we talk about those two things, that's what this show is about. It's only like Louisiana, but it goes beyond Louisiana. But what a great conduit to it with your heritage being French, and then you're being here in French, and I'm really excited about the Zerbs, and I'm really excited about the gumbos and how you're like bridging it, and how you're talking about sharing the light, because that's what I often try to do, is like put the spotlight on you, whoever's sitting there. You know what I mean? But that's what you're doing in life, and then without even realizing it a lot, that's what you have done. Yeah.
I mean, I really love to showcase people. I really do love to see other people. I have a hard time just watching and not being part of it sometimes. But, it is amazing to be able to do introductions and to then see those introductions grow. And like, I love when my friends become friends with each other, or if I've introduced a couple, or, if I've gotten someone a job or something, and then I get to see that succeed. Now, of course, it's always a hard time when it doesn't work out, but in the end, it's like, okay, it wasn't meant to be, and there's going to be something else behind it. But yeah, I'm always kind of like,
life, I always say, it's a lesson or a blessing, and that's it's no bad times, and you don't ever fail. You just do it for the first time, and then the second time, and then the third time, and but let's back up a second.
Yeah,
musician, music. So the reason why sometimes you may like the light, because you're a performer. So when did you first? I know you have a rich history of music in your background. When was the first time you thought, I'm going to be a musician? Or was it just as like something that was already instruments laying around your house, and you just fiddled with them and just...
Yeah. I think the number one rule at my home was Emily, no singing at the table. Like, I would probably say I was born a performer, in the aspect that, like, when in our culture, there's something called a jam session where people sit around, and in the Cajun and Creole music culture, there are circles and there's these rings. And when you first come to a jam session, you're not supposed to sit directly in the middle. You start on the outside. And little by little, people will leave, or you come another time. And then you get to know somebody, and they'll be like, hey, come sit next to me, closer in. Because inside that circle is the literal inner circle. It's the elders, it's the culture bearers, it's the people that have been going to that jam session every Saturday morning. So when you go into a jam session, you don't just go straight to the front. But when I was little and I was speaking Cajun French and French, there was an interest in me. So I would get pulled to the front. And, my dad, who himself kind of had to search for that culture himself. And unfortunately, my grandparents were part of the generation where they were not allowed to speak their language. They were beat at school by les Américains, by the Americans. And, they were honte. They were embarrassed of being French. My grandfather, they gave him a really hard time when he was in the service, because he spoke French as his first language. with his parents and with his wife, they spoke French. So, you know, when it came to their children, they shied away from it. But my dad, my great-grandfather played the accordion. My dad got, I think my grandmother loves to say that my dad got pneumonia or something, and then he found that accordion and he became interested. But I know that my dad loves his culture so much that the first time he saw it at, I think it was his grandfather's bar, he was just like hooked.
Enamored.
Just absolutely enamored. Or just the stories of this bar that my great-grandfather had owned. And so I think my dad just always knew. So for him to love that culture so much and to teach himself the songs, you know, he just picked up the rule in Cajun music is if you don't know how to play anything, you need to learn to play what's called the bastring, the tiffer. It's a triangle made out of a hay rake. And it's just like a simple rhythm. There's 2 rhythms. Well, there's 3, I guess, if you want to include a slower. But it's the motions of playing guitar. So when you do a waltz, it's ding, 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 ding. And then when you have your guitar, you're going to go ding, 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 ding. And that's how you get that chank. You hit it on the top bass string. And so when we were little, my parents were like, you can't go into the jam session and you can't come on stage, because my parents played on stage as well, until you've learned to play the triangle. And so they taught us, and then my brother and I ran off. And my brother was really good at it. I was not so great at it, singing and doing the triangle. Now
a lot of stuff going on there. I mean, most people can't ever get there. So the fact that you can work through it and get there is an amazing thing. So the first instrument, I've seen you play 2. Which one was the first one? Was it
So triangle would have been, my voice. My voice.
Oh, 4.
My dad would sit me down, and I remember a couple of times my dad saying, okay, you want to come to the jam session? Now you need to learn some words to some songs. So my dad taught me the words to the song. He sat me down with his accordion. My dad worked offshore, so moments with him were very precious to me because they were very intermittent. So, and I love him. I mean, he's my dad. He's amazing, but he's like my absolute hero. And, you know, a human, flawed as well. I've learned a lot
Daddy's
from it.
Hero, trust me. I have a 30-year-old. I know that feeling.
Yeah, but he's incredible. He's just like a really... When I tell people that I'm John and Jane Vidrine's daughter, they're like, oh, I love your parents. And I'm so proud of that, you know?
I was going to say, and I say this often, a lot of people, when you see really good people or really bad or whatever, it's always the parents or their upbringing. And when you were saying that you like to want to show other people, I was thinking to myself, I was like, your parents must do the exact same thing to help people.
They really brought me up very, very well. And, you know, I try to do similar with my own son. It has its challenges because I'm in another country. And, but so, yeah, the first instrument would have been my voice. Then I played triangle. And I actually didn't pick up the guitar until I was about, I would say like 13. I think when you're 13, you start really kind of like branching out to different musics and stuff. So I think I got like into, I know the first song that I learned to play on the guitar, which was this song, Amy, what you gonna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. And it was an A and an A7. And I worked on that. And I asked my mom and said, okay, I want to play that song. And this is before internet tabs and whatever. And so she showed me the 3 chords and I was like, okay, I got it. And my mom's this incredible musician. And I'm just the worst. I can't learn anything from her because I fight it. And my dad too, you know, I really try to listen, but I fight it so much because I hear a little bit and I'm like, okay, got it. So I'm not that great of a musician, but I'm a very passionate musician.
I'm not going to let you sit here, especially now on camera, say you're not a great musician because I grew up listening to, and still, I'm a major music lover, 6th generation New Orleanian. I love all kinds of music. It just has to be good. It doesn't matter what it is, what's the genre. I love it all.
Yeah.
And I was captivated by your voice, the way that you can, well, I love to hear the Cajun people speaking, first of all. Like it's just a really cool sound to me. like the way that you pronunciation, say words. And I was saying the same thing to Allison. Like sometimes when she's like really gets excited,
oh yeah,
you can hear it come out, and I'm like, wow, I love to hear that.
Do it, yeah.
Yes, and so when you were singing, I was hearing all that coming out, and then I didn't even know what to expect. When you were playing the guitar, and I was like, you're just playing music too? And then all of a sudden you hit the accordion. I'm like,
yeah, that was really fun. I've only picked up accordion since COVID.
2019, 2020.
Because I wanted my son, who was born in 2019, I wanted him to be hearing accordion. I thought it was really important because I grew up when my dad would be around, and once he wasn't tired from building our homes, because he's a Cajun man. He picks up that hammer. He restored like all of this incredible 250-year-old Creole home from scratch. I mean, and when he was
like Superman,
he is so, and he worked really hard. And he was a groundbreaker in a lot of things, and he's amazing. But when I was little, there was always that like arrière of accordion music in the background. And, my parents playing music together, sitting on the porch in Scott, Louisiana, on that wraparound porch with prairie behind them, big oak tree. And I mean, those are the best memories of summers in Louisiana. My brother and I running off the porch while my parents are just, tranquil in their own little island. And we couldn't wake them up for that. And I was like, I want that sound in my baby's life.
Yes.
So I was like, I need to learn to play the accordion. Right now is a good time because he's a very captivated audience when he's 3 months old. And then COVID happened, and I was like, oh well, sorry to my husband. At least I didn't pick up the fiddle, because that's a really hard one to listen to people learn. But I was like, accordion's an interesting instrument because it's a lead instrument, but it actually doesn't sound that great if it doesn't have a guitar with it. So it can't really do well if it doesn't have its team, if it doesn't have its partner.
Right.
So when I was learning accordion, I would record myself playing guitar, and then I'd listen to it while I was playing accordion because I needed it. But then the guitar would speed up, so the accordion you just need. So I love that it's like a lead instrument, but it can't really sound good like a trumpet would sound great by itself,
Right.
But an accordion needs a team.
I really feel like it does sound good. I mean, like just listening to you. I mean, I know Some High, like he was on Only Good Vibes News Network. I mean, you guys make magic with that thing, and it's not like it's just easy to play.
No, it's not. It's
very
really hard.
Because I was like, what? I'm like, oh god.
I mean, and it's like 2 or 3 things happening all at the same time. You've got the basses that you need to be pumping, you need to be pulling or pushing, and you need to do rhythm on this side, and it's a lot to think about.
I'll rest my case.
It's really a lot. It's more than I can think about all at once. So I just try to play it as simple as possible so that I do it right. And I figure if I just play the same song over and over and over and over, it just is going to get a little more complicated. It's going to get a little more natural. Because that instrument, you wouldn't think it, but they're personalized. They adapt to you. Like the wood will mold to the way you play. So if you play it hard and you're trying to play really complicated, that instrument's going to get worn out. They don't last forever. They're made of wood. So it's a wood box with paper bellows and reeds on the inside. Like overlaying.
I love to say this. You're manipulating air.
Yeah, you are. So those piano accordions, they're plastic and metal and stuff. Well, this is wood, and wood in Louisiana doesn't last. We know that.
Especially for a million guys.
Exactly. So it's a precious little thing that makes such a big noise. And, if you turn it, you could knock someone unconscious with it.
It's pretty heavy.
So I love that it's something that's so hard, but so delicate at the same time. You know, it's
that's
just
a beautiful thing to see. Any instruments, don't get me wrong, to be played and to hear music is a joy. It's a joyful experience. It makes me feel like it's the ultimate way to relieve stress for the person listening to it. And it's also an awesome way for a person to relieve stress if they're playing the music. It's like their mind's going to another place, they're playing whatever the instrument is, and they go in there. And it's also making the other person feel good about it the same way.
Hey,